Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
All right, we now call clause number 24-CR 857, the state of Texas versus Chadston Brightson. You were Mr. Brightson?
Yes, sir.
And you were here with Mr. Adams, your attorney and the state's attorney. Earlier, you pleaded guilty to the third degree felony of unlawful possession of a firearm by a previous convicted felon. And the agreement was whatever sentence shall not exceed a cap of 8 years in prison. So we are looking here, if the court decides to sentence you to prison, you are looking at no less than 2 nor more than 8 years confinement in prison. You could be sentenced to no less than 2 nor more than 8 years confinement in prison, and then that could be suspended and you could be placed on regular probation for up to 10 years. You could also be placed on deferred or unadjudicated probation. I think those are the 3 options available.
Yes, Your Honor.
And have the parties had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence report? And are there any corrections or changes to it? State.
We reviewed it and we have none, Judge.
And defense.
No, I don't have any, Your Honor.
All right, then.
I have 2 brief witnesses, his mom and his dad, Judge. If you
Okay,
don't mind, can you
okay.
please come?
Hold on. And then we had a report earlier prepared by Dr. Edgar Pond of the court's insistence that the defendant be analyzed for competency and insanity. And that report had been received on September 11th, 2024, which states the defendant is competent, stand trial, and is not suffering from a mental illness that would make him ruled insane and unable to stand trial. Any objections to us calling this court's exhibit number 1 on this date and putting it into admission in this court for all purposes for sentencing?
No, none, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, then it will be made a part of the record for all purposes. Okay, we're calling it court's exhibit number 1. It is made a part of the record for all purposes without objection.
No objection.
All right. State, would you like to go first? Or do you want to defer till later?
Let's defer, Judge.
Okay,
I
you may.
understand he's got some live witnesses.
All right, defense may go forward. Thank you.
All right.
One at a time.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
we don't do it as a group.
No problem.
That's why we only have 1 chair in the witness stand over there.
All right. Would you state your full name for the records?
My name is Terry Eugene Burks.
That's who you're calling, Terry Eugene Burks.
Terry
Okay,
Burks.
see, the witness has introduced himself as Terry Eugene Burks. And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any statements you make during this hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, you may lower your hand. Go ahead.
And to my right and your right, that's your son, right?
That's correct.
And he
Who is?
Chadston Wayne Bryson.
We have to do it for the record. So the court reporter's notes show exactly who you were referring to.
And just briefly, tell us about yourself and how you employ.
My name is Terry Eugene Burks. I'm 51 years of age. I reside in the city of Beaumont, Texas. I've been here for a little bit better than 19 years. My wife and I have been married 19 and a half years, and I presently work at a company called Henneth Transportation LLC as a hazmat chemical driver.
All right. And you understand that your son, Chadston Bryston, is charged with unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. We got a chance to look at the pre-sentence investigative report, right?
Yes,
And you understand that the court has a cap of 8 years, meaning that judge just said you can go as low as deferred probation, straight probation, or as high as 8 years in jail, right?
I understand.
So with that being said, and you're also familiar with Dr. Rapon's report, this was when we had him evaluated for psychological conditions, right?
Yes,
So what I want you to do is, I don't want to feed you with what to say or not to say, put words in your mouth. Directly talk to the judge and ask him, why do you want him to have probation, deferred probation in this case? Tell
thank
him.
you. Again, thank you, Judge Stevens, for allowing me to address the court.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Um,
Thank you.
Again, I'm Chad's stepfather. I've been in his life ever since he was 6 years of age. And so for approximately 20 plus years. And the first part of our relationship was a beautiful relationship, teaching him how to tie a tie, even ride a bike and so many other things, our fishing trips and stuff. But as time progressed, the neighborhood that we lived in, he got hooked up with the wrong crowd and ended up gravitating to a lifestyle that wasn't conducive of the household that we tried to project. We come out of a Christian home. And so things began to spiral down for Chad and for our family. He began to get in trouble and we had problems with him at school. But one thing that I promised myself, and I married his mother, I also married him. I said that even though I grew up in a home without a father, I said that I would never, ever forsake my family. I would never, ever give up on the family that the Lord blessed me with. And so I've always been there for him. I've always tried to love him as a father. I've never looked at him as my stepson. And whenever I would meet people out in the public and they would say, "Is that your son?" I would say, "Yes, that's my son." And I've always loved him. And I'm not going to sit up here and say that Chad is not without fault. We've always tried to hold his foot to the fire. We've always tried to hold him accountable for his actions. I never made excuses for the things that he has done or the activity that has led us here today. I've always been one, as the saying goes, that drove with tough love. And we have rules in our house, and Chad knows that if you can't abide by these rules, then you can't stay at this house. Home is what home has always been, and Chad is always welcome to come home. And as long as he's home with us, he does right. You know, we tell him what to do. We take him to the places that he needs to go. I've even started trying to teach him how to drive when he was with us, you know, so that he could get out and become a civilized individual, be productive in society. And I believe that that's still in him. I believe that there's some good that's still left in him. He just needs to have that robust supervision, that oversight that will keep him grounded. His mother and I have already pledged our love for him and our support for him. We have a structured home. We have reliable transportation. We have a big family, and all of our family have pledged their support to help us and help Chad in any way possible to become successful in life and to turn the trajectory of his life around and begin to be the father for his son that he needs to be, to have that respect given back to him that he has to earn. And I believe that if he's afforded that opportunity this time around, I believe that what's been the norm for his life up to this point will begin to take a 180 turn, and he'll be able to become that person that he needs to be in life. And we're going to help him become that person if Your Honor in this court sees a possibility for him to be placed on supervision.
Okay. Any questions from the state?
A few, if I may, Judge.
Go ahead.
So, Mr. Burke, you and I visited before the plea last time, didn't we?
Yes,
Shortly.
Yes, sir.
So I want to be frank with you and ask you a couple of questions.
Yes.
When I read through your stepson's report here, his problems have been existing all the way from when he was a juvenile. He was running away from home. He even got extensive trouble as being in possession of some drugs within a drug-free zone. So, I mean, we're already having problems when he was a juvenile.
That's correct.
And right when he turned 17, he ends up with a felony offense that gets him a 5-year sentence.
That's correct.
Right. So you were in his life. When did he get out of TDC? From that 5-year sentence that he got on the burglary application.
I want to say that he got out in 2020.
So anywhere between 2020 and 2022, right?
Yes, sir.
And you don't remember that yourself today, right? But the same The same thing that you're telling the judge, the family and the structure, you and your wife have been there for him through that time frame, haven't you?
Correct.
Right, so I'm going to tell you, I'm concerned with that. And the other thing I'm concerned with is that after he gets out of prison, he ends up committing multiple offenses in 2022 that I was a stepfather too. It's just shameful to even see this on a piece of paper. He was convicted twice of family violence. That's not something you talk about.
What was that?
Yes, so
What was it?
his mother of his child. They were trying to live together, and I'm assuming they got into an altercation, an argument of some kind, and which resulted the authorities coming. And I'm not sure all that played into that, but he wasn't living with us in our home at this particular time.
When was the last time he lived with you and your one?
With us? I know that he came right after he got out of prison the first time. He paroled to our home. And
We know he was convicted in 2016,
that's in
5 years
2020.
in prison, so he gets out in about 2020.
Yes, sir. We picked him up from the Clemens unit there in Brazoria County.
You know, he was given probation for those misdemeanor offenses, but he didn't complete that. He got revoked.
Right.
Is there anything you can tell the judge that it can exist differently about this probation that you're asking for to try to turn this young man around?
And just before you answer that, what concerns me is, all of us make mistakes. All of us make mistakes. Welcome to humanity. We're all in it. But it's how you deal with your mistakes is the real test of character.
Right.
And
Yes, I'm sorry.
the defendant goes to prison after some problems as a juvenile that apparently in 2014 did not work out for the extended period of time, because he gets arrested, a date of offense for these two burglaries in 2016. He gets imprisoned, and in 2016 he is 17 years of age.
Right at 17, yes, sir.
And he just turned 17, which so right into being responsible as an adult in 17.
Yes.
This stuff. He goes and commits burglaries of homes, which if he was shot by the homeowner would, of course, that's an absolute defense. And that's why those laws are so strict. And it's dangerous to be burglarizing somebody's home.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but he gets 2 convictions, so he serves a 5-year sentence and he's released. And then thereafter, he goes to live with y'all.
Yes, sir. He
Okay.
paroles to our home.
But he's in March of 22, he picks up family assault and also a violation of a bond or protective order. So that's a law. Family assault, that's another criminal law. And then a violation of a bond or protective order, which is a court's order that you're asking for probation here, and he would be on court orders. But he's proven that he can't follow court orders in the past. And so he was revoked and sentenced to confinement on those 2 matters. Thereafter, in fact, before that, he commits escape, and I'm not really clear about what happened on that, but he was convicted of that and sentenced to confinement, looks like jail confinement for that misdemeanor. So he's picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On 5 crimes, 5 misdemeanors, he was convicted, including assault, family violence, assault, 2 assaults of family violence, among other things. Then 2 felony convictions of burglaries of a habitation. But it was after he got out and was living with y'all that he picks up those 22 assaults and violates his bond, escape, while he's kind of under y'all's more supervision. So we know that the previous supervision with you, as well intended as you are describing it, you can't live his life. It's his choices and your choices. You seem to be articulating that you're a good choice maker. And why your stepson has not, is that right? It's your stepson, not your, it's
Correct.
some other, you're married. But nonetheless, you came into the family, so you're you're a role model. I presume his actual father is not much in his life.
Correct.
Okay, so you sound to be a good role model, and the question is, what's your problem? Who can you blame but you? But you have you may have had a role model in your family before that failed. Your natural father, I don't know, but it sounds like that he did make good choices as a parent. But you knew better, you know that's not right. So you rebel on that, but you've got a good father figure now. You haven't had one for what, 2004, since 2004. So why would you make poor choices when you've got a good example? And you also know that when you make bad choices, you get your hands spanked like we all do. We get punished. Why would you want to get punished again? You know, it has consequences. And so we're talking about violations of law here. Just as an adult, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 of those are felonies. The others are misdemeanors. And I'm not even counting the juvenile problems that you have, which amount to now adding over 10 criminal matters that you were held responsible for and punished for separately. So why is it that you should get a 12th second chance?
Commissioner Speaker.
Go ahead.
The time I sat in there, I had time to really reflect on my life. And it's not the life I want to live anymore. It's getting old to me. And parents I got, they love me. They love me, you know. And I shouldn't hurt them. In order to love them the way I should love them, or the way they love me, I should love myself enough not to hurt them by coming to jail, doing drugs, hanging around the wrong crowd. I also got a son now that loves me, and you know, in order to love him back, I have to love myself. And I'm gonna start by having some self-love and walking down the
How old
right
is
path.
as your child?
3. He's gonna be 3. It's gonna be 3 in August. And
What is his date of birth?
August 18th, 2022.
Okay. So the lady was pregnant with your child 9 months before that, I guess, the first of 2022. And yet you knew that, right? You knew she was pregnant. So you're charged, you then, after learning that news, being a responsible person now, as a father figure, a role model, you committed 5 crimes there within a few months after learning that. So how is it that a child in your life made a difference, is going to make a good difference when you went out and went on a crime spree, knowing that you had another life that you were responsible for other than yourself? Help me.
I was still kind of young-minded. I was still finding myself young, but now that I feel like I have found myself. I feel like I truly have found myself now. I'm not getting any younger. My son isn't getting any younger.
How long have you been in jail now?
I've been in jail for a year now, going on a year now.
How's that working out? Families together, unit? No, it's not when you are in jail.
Well, no.
Plus, they're in jail with you. Okay,
Right.
okay, I understand.
And then, Judge, I had this
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Raise your right hand, ma'am. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, go ahead with introducing this lady. Thank you.
All right, would you state your full name for the record and tell us briefly about yourself?
My name is Sandra Nicole Burks. I'm 49 years old. I have 3 children, 2 girls, and Chad, and our grandson Charlie.
And are you employed?
I am, we'll be working at Baptist Hospital on the 27th. I was working for Dr. Albert for Albert. But I'm on my 2-week notice thing, so I'll get back.
So basically what you have here is husband, wife, middle class family, pretty much middle class jobs. And you heard one of the major questions of the judge is that, hey, your son has all of these situations where he's becoming involved in law enforcement, whether it is the family violence judge mentioned about going to the prison in his adult history. Let's get straight to the point, all right? He's hit the wall several times, right?
Yes.
And judge is asking a good question. Okay, well, hey, he hit so many times. Why should I give him a chance today, looking at what has happened in the past? Do you follow his argument, right? Line of thinking.
Yes.
All right. So what I want you to do is to answer him directly on that question, which is considering all that has happened in the past. Why should we give him that deferred adjudication shot today? And you can answer him however you want to answer him. You can look at him and tell him what you think. Go ahead.
Okay, yes, all of these things happened with Chad when he was real young. He was very young minded. He actually started doing drugs in the 6th grade. It's when they, he said he was having a bad time, a bad day. And one of the kids told him, hey, I got something to help you. And ever since then, we've been trying to help him, ever since he was in the 6th grade. Now, I do believe that he has learned his lesson. I do believe that he was very young and all these things was happening to him, having had time to really think about his life.
Why do you think he's learned his lesson?
Well, I guess.
Because really the only thing different is he's been in jail. He's been in custody. Nobody likes that. So they're going to say anything to
Correct.
get out. Oh, okay. I don't like this. This is punishment. I don't like this. Only sociopathic people enjoy being punished. So we know he's not mentally ill that way. So it's just natural for him to say, I'm tired of here. This is punishment. I don't want to be here anymore. Let me out. That's just normal. But what is it that we can say that's specific that is different in his life that would reflect success?
Yes.
Because he's got an environment that has success as a potential. He just didn't care to choose that and then committed all these offenses and mistakes. What did we say, 11 times? Well, yeah.
12.
My goodness.
Well, I believe that now we have more of us, like back then, just me and my husband mostly, we have more family involved. That they expect that with us and help with him, and getting himself together. And I just chose to believe that he's gonna change this time.
What's different about the role modeling in the family than before? By the role modelers, what's different? I don't see anything different. It's just him that's different. He just does not accept or decide to take part in the family unit as a responsible person. And he had role modeling in the household. So it's your fault and your choice. Everybody else is rowing the boat. You want to ski. Roll fast so I can ski. I just want to avoid committing crimes. Y'all do all the heavy lifting. That's not fair. Would you agree? Go on.
Well, we do have our pastor involved with it. And
I'm sorry.
we have our pastor involved as well.
What's he doing? Or she?
He,
Who's your pastor?
Pastor Gary came too.
Okay. Well, what would that man do?
Well, excuse me. Yeah, he would come to the house, talk with him, and will help us with him trying to get jobs together. Just really consoling with him and spending time with him and trying to get him on the right path like we are.
At the end of the day, all of these things sound great, but at the end of the day, it boils down to one thing. It's your choices that are leading,
Right.
not the pastor, not your mom, not your stepfather, not the attorney, not all of these other people who are trying to help you, that you're rebelling against yourself on, working
Right.
against yourself. It's all boils to you. And you've made a series of bad choices up to now. Series. And then now there's nothing that's been changed. You've had more than your fair opportunity to make the right choice. But you do. And you stick your hand on the hot stove, it's going to burn you. But you're now embracing the stove. You're just not touching it. You're grabbing it and hugging it. Because it's like I enjoy being burned. No, who does that? Nobody likes that. But that's the way it looks in this big document. Okay. All right, I think I know where we stand. Anybody else has anything else to say?
No questions of her, Your Honor.
Anything else you would like to say, sir? Thank you, man.
I never say it's long. I feel like I really have. I know it may seem like just because I'm in a bind that
Yeah, everybody's going to say you're going to try to tell me something that I want to hear because you're in a bind. The thing that bothers me is you've had far more chances than the average person in this, as a defendant in this court, to make the right choice. And you have failed miserably up to now. So there's nothing that's really changed except you're getting tired of being in jail. That doesn't help me in making a decision that takes you out of confinement because the community is a lot safer with you in jail. It's been proven now. When you get out, you go and commit crimes.
I like to be around.
What's different about it other than, are you saying you're finally maturing?
I am,
Okay.
I'm finally maturing. And it took a while, but I'm finally maturing, and I promise this is the last time. This is the last time I can never go through this. Last time.
Well, the last time should have been several,
I understand,
11 times ago.
I understand this,
Anything else?
Just
Yeah.
one of the biggest things is the probation department, at least from one of the things I read in the report, where they said defendant's positive attributes suggest potential for
Or successful probation if adequately supported.
And I think the adequate part, which is the condition of the statement, is I think we've demonstrated the adequate support side in the sense of he got middle class parents.
I know, but he's had that adequate support available for him several bad mistakes ago. They've been available in the household, and yet he still rebelled in his decision making. Right? Wouldn't you say? I mean, the man's been in the house since 2004 as a role model.
I think one thing that Dad brought out was like the girlfriend incident. He had moved out of the house, but I think if you give him probation, they're going to keep him in the house, and with him in the house, that adequate support will be there. He won't be out of the house. Yeah, actually live with him, right? He's gonna live with y'all, right?
Correct.
And I think under their roof versus being outside of their roof, it'll be a tremendous difference in his behavior and adaptation to
All right.
society.
If nothing further, the court has taken all that into account and in reviewing the pre-sentence report that's been made a part of the record. Does any of the attorneys wish to add anything else? I think I know your thoughts on it.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
If nothing further, I'm going to find that earlier in this case, the defendant had pleaded guilty to the third-degree felony of unlawful possession of a firearm by a previously been convicted as a felon. And he did that voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently. You understood and appreciated the consequences of pleading guilty. There was sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I now find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That's another felony conviction. I am following this agreement, and you are hereby sentenced to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 8 years. You will be given credit for all time you have served in accordance with this charge. Do you understand what has happened here today, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You will be given credit for all time you served. Anything else you want to say?
No, Your Honor.
And nothing else? How'd that sink in with you? Like something fell on you?
It's all right.
Like a car falls on you?
Hurts. It does hurt.
All right. The court is going to further suspend the sentence. You will be placed on 10 years probation.
Thank you, Your Honor.
There will be terms and conditions of probation. Number one, you will be required to undergo a comprehensive mental health evaluation by a licensed psychiatrist. And maybe Dr. Grippon has fulfilled that in his September 11th report in determination of competency. But we want to make sure that you don't have an excuse for any failures. You will be subject to a substance abuse evaluation, and you will enroll in and complete any substance abuse treatment program that the probation office deems is appropriate.
Yes, Your Honor.
You will complete some cognitive intervention programs that are available for such offenders, including the moral reclamation therapy program, which helps you make better choices than you've been making. You will be required to complete your education, your high school equivalency, and any further vocational training that helps you become a responsible person to yourself and to your family. You will be ordered to refrain from possessing or accessing firearms, other weapons, any illegal drugs that have not been properly dispensed and diagnosed as something you should take for your assistance by a licensed medical physician.
Yes, Your Honor.
You will perform 600 hours of community service, and you will be on high intensive reporting plans that the probation office will monitor and control. Here's the other thing. One failure away, one mistake. And everybody makes mistakes, but I'm talking about from these any knowing or intentional failures to follow these conditions, which are strict, will result in you coming back here real quickly. And I don't know what else you could say. It's not going to be anybody else's fault but yours,
Right.
unless it's somebody else's fault that made you do it, which seldom happens. But if it is, we'll take that into account. Otherwise, if it's your decision, you've been on notice that you are on thin ice, and 8 years in prison is where it will end up if you fail to follow these terms and conditions of probation. But I know a judge went over all of these one time before and you failed. But do you understand what the court has tried to convey to you today, that failure is not an option for you
Yes, Your Honor.
anymore? I don't see a problem.
I didn't hear one.
Now, the probation office, which has a 90+% success rate for probationers, is going to review all of this with you here in a little bit, make sure you understand everything. Because if you're back here, you're going to have a hard time explaining your way out of failures at this point in what we have done in addressing your actions. Also, one other thing you need to be concerned about. This is your second successive felony conviction. You know what happens on your third one? 25 to life. You can't get probation. You have to be able to serve less than 10 years or less to be even suspended and probated. So you can't get regular probation next time. Here, I've signed those probation orders, and I think we've done all we could to get you to a point of it's in your hands. The responsibility is yours. Follow through 100%. Okay, and the probation office will keep me updated on your progress, which I hope it is. All right. Anything else? That is all, Langston.
Thank you. Thank you, Arnold.
Yes.